Dream of the Red Chamber, Chapter 18.
Okay, so let's unpack that. And I think you're right. We have to start small. Let's start with that tiny embroidered sachet.
Exactly. The whole thing kicks off right after our hero, Bao Yu, has this big win. He's proven how brilliant he is at poetry. His father is pleased for a moment.
But that success immediately makes him a target.
It absolutely does. As he's walking back, he gets, well, ambushed is the only word for it. It's by the servants, these little lads who work for his father.
And they don't want money.
Yeah.
Which is what's so interesting.
Right. He offers them a dayao of cash, which is a good amount of money.
Mm-hmm.
And they just reject it. They say no.
Why? Why is cash worthless here?
Because they're not after money. They're after status. They want his personal things, his fan pouch, his fragrant sachet. These aren't just accessories.
They're trophies.
They are trophies. They're proof that you got close enough to the family's golden boy to get something from him. It's about association, not currency. They literally strip him of his stuff.
And that moment, him being stripped of his accessories, that's the trigger for the huge emotional explosion with Dayu.
Oh, it's the absolute catalyst. She sees him without his things, and her mind just, it goes to the worst possible place. She assumes he gave away the sachet she made for him.
No questions asked, just straight to the worst case scenario.
Instantly, the text says she's gambling her temper, gambling Kai. It's like she's so insecure about their relationship that she has to lash out first.
And she does it in such a dramatic way.
It's incredibly dramatic. She's actually in the middle of making him a new pouch. It's not even finished. And she just grabs a pair of scissors and starts cutting it to pieces. The word used is jingyo. It's an aggressive shearing cut.
It's pure emotional violence, but then the story just completely turns on a dime. Bayu's reaction. It's not what you'd expect.
No, because he rushes over and proves her completely wrong. And the way he does it is just beautiful.
He shows her the original sachet.
Yes, but how he shows her is the key. He has to unfasten his red jacket because he'd taken it off his collar and hidden it deep inside his clothes.
So he wasn't careless with it. He was actively protecting it.
Exactly. He was guarding her gift from the exact kind of greedy servants who had just accosted him. He valued it so much, he hid it.
And for anyone listening, that's the moment where everything flips. You realize how much he treasures it.
And Dayu realizes it too. The whiplash is intense. She feels ashamed and angry, Kuyuki, humiliated that she was so wrong and furious at herself.
And then Bayu, being Bayu, somehow makes it worse.
He does. He throws the original sachet back at her, saying, fine, you can have it back then, sort of punishing her for not trusting him.
Which, of course, backfires spectacularly.
Completely. Now she's got a new target for all that shame and anger. She starts cutting the original sachet, the one he saved, crying the whole time. He has to snatch it away from her, begging, could sister spare it?
It's just this ridiculous high-stakes fight over a little piece of silk, and then just as quickly as it started, it ends.
It breaks. He pins the damaged sachet back on, and she just laughs. The text gives this great sound, shoots a sudden, sharp laugh, and the fight is over.
The tragedy just evaporates and becomes flirtation.
It does. He asks her to make him a new one. She gives this perfect, teasing reply, that only depends on my happiness. It shows you how, in this controlled world, these tiny objects carry the weight of all their repressed emotions.
So if that's emotion under constraint, the rest of the chapter is the constraint itself. Let's make that pivot now from this incredibly personal drama to, well, the mind-boggling scale of the Jia family's public life.
Yes. The preparations for Consort Yuanchun's visit. This is the Schengen, the province visit.
And this isn't just a family get-together.
Not even close. This is the machinery of empire descending on a private home. The chapter makes it clear that everyone, from the matriarch Lady Wang to the supermanager Phoenix, was working nonstop day and night.
And the budget. I mean, the things they had to buy. Let's just talk about the entertainment.
Okay, just for entertainment, one of the cousins, Jia Cheng, is tasked with putting on a show. This means he has to go out and purchase 12 professional singing girls.
Purchase them,
then hire teachers for them, then rehearse 20 different acts of opera. The entire Pear Blossom Court, a whole section of the estate, is just turned into a private conservatory for this one visit.
It's like building a Broadway production from scratch for a single performance.
That's a great way to put it. And that's just the entertainment. They also need a religious staff.
Right, for the spiritual side of things.
So they hire 10 young nuns and 10 young Taoist priestesses. And then there's the garden itself. It has to be transformed into a living paradise.
The list is incredible. They're not just planting flowers, they're stocking it like a zoo.
Exactly. The text lists it out. Cranes, peacocks, deer, Rabbits, chickens, geese, plus all the antiques and priceless curios placed just so. They are literally building a fantasy world.
It shows that real power isn't about having money. It's about being able to create an entire temporary reality for someone else to look at.
That's it precisely. And right in the middle of all this frantic, opulent preparation, this fascinating new character is introduced, or, well, she refuses to be introduced, Miao Yu.
Miao Yu is so interesting because she's a total outsider.
She is. She's 18, she's beautiful, brilliant at literature, and she comes from a good family, a scholar official family from Suzhou, but she's a lay nun.
A hair-on practitioner, the text says.
Yes, Dafa Shuxing. She keeps her hair. She became a nun because she was chronically ill as a child, and weirdly, that was the only thing that cured her. So she has this authority that comes from outside the Jia family's power structure.
And of course, they want her for the visit, to add a touch of spiritual class.
They do, and her refusal is just magnificent. She basically says, noble families like yours just oppress people with their wealth and power, and I will never go.
Wow. That is a direct challenge to their entire existence. She's calling them morally bankrupt to their faces.
It's a huge moment of principled resistance. But what's even more telling is how the Jias react.
They don't get angry.
Not at all. Lady Wang, the head of the house, just kind of laughs it off. She says something like, oh, she's a scholar official's daughter. Of course she's a bit arrogant.
And their solution is just to send her a fancier invitation.
Exactly. Just send a formal card. They assume their power and formality will just steamroll her moral objections. Her principles are just a personality quirk to them, a minor logistical hurdle to be managed.
That casual assumption of power is almost scarier than overt tyranny.
It really is. And that leads us right into the day of the visit itself, the 15th, a day that is just defined by tension and an unbelievable level of formality.
The Imperial control is absolute. You see it in the details.
You do. The court eunuchs arrive days beforehand, from the 8th of the month. And they aren't asking, they're dictating. This is where the consort will change clothes. This is where she will sit. This is where she will eat. Every single movement is preordained.
And the security.
Yeah.
They basically put the whole neighborhood on lockdown.
Total lockdown. The Ministry of Works clears the streets. They drive out anyone who doesn't belong there. It's a sterile environment.
But the worst part for the family had to be the waiting.
Oh, the waiting is torturous.
Yeah.
The whole family, from the grandmother Jiamu all the way down, has to get into their full, heavy ceremonial robes before dawn.
The text says at the 5 watches. What time is that?
That's between 3 a.m. and 5 a.m., so they are dressed and ready to go before the sun is up.
For a visit that doesn't even start until that night.
Exactly. A eunuch eventually comes to tell them the consort won't even leave the palace until sometime between 7 and 9 p.m., so they just have to sit there all day, in their most restrictive, uncomfortable clothes, waiting.
The physical endurance required is just another form of showing deference.
It is. And when the arrival finally happens, it's this masterpiece of quiet, controlled power. It doesn't start with a bang. It starts with silence.
You hear the horses in the distance and then nothing.
That silence is the first display of power. Then the procession begins. 10 pairs of eunuchs in red, moving slowly, standing at attention. Then the objects.
The dragon and phoenix banners, the golden incense burners.
Burning special imperial incense. Then the huge, curved-handle golden umbrella. Then attendants carrying her personal things. Fragrant beads, rinsing bowls, fly whisks.
All of these items that basically purify the space for her.
Yes. They create a bubble of imperial sanctity around her. And then finally, you see it, the gold-topped yellow phoenix sedan chair, the binyu carried by 8 eunuchs.
And as it passes, everyone kneels.
Everyone, even the ancient matriarch, Jiamu. Though because of her status as the consort's grandmother, eunuchs are there to immediately lift her back up. The respect is shown, but her rank is also acknowledged.
And the consort herself is taken to a temporary building with its incredible name on a plaque, embodying benevolence and bathed in virtue.
It's all about framing this display of power as a moral good. The whole performance is for that purpose.
The final description of the garden is just sensory overload, incense smoke swirling, flowers and colors shimmering, constantly the sound of fine music.
It's the perfect picture. The source calls it an atmosphere of peaceful atmosphere and rich elegance. It is the absolute peak of manufactured perfection.
And if you put that image, that perfect cold measured image, next to the image of Dayu frantically slicing up a silk sachet in a fit of passionate rage.
You see the two poles of this world, chaotic, private love on one end and ordered public power on the other. One is all heart, the other is all protocol.
And it's so fascinating that the narrator, after describing all this splendor, just pulls back. He decides not to write the celebratory poems you'd expect.
That's such a critical moment. The narrator literally steps into the story for a second and contrasts all this shimmering luxury with the loneliness and desolation of the Great Barren Mountain, where the story's magic stone comes from. It's a huge meta-commentary.
It kind of deflates the whole spectacle. It suggests it's all temporary.
It does, and it leaves you with this really provocative thought. If even this monumental display of wealth, this family's absolute crowning achievement, is seen by the narrator as just a fleeting illusion. This is so much more than just a family party or a tour.
Oh, absolutely.
It is the ultimate payoff for a colossal building project, one designed for the sole purpose of cementing the family's status.
So we're really witnessing this brutal collision point.
We are, where immense wealth smashes right into the rigid expectations of the imperial court, and where these really deep family bonds are just painfully strained by her political position.
The extreme, almost unbelievable luxury of this garden, the immediate, unexpected critique from the consort herself.
And the powerful, almost tragic emotional dynamics that define the Daguanyuan from the moment it's unveiled. I mean, we are looking at the payoff of one of the most expensive building projects in all of Chinese literature.
To really get the stakes here, you have to understand the cost, right?
Yeah.
The Jia family poured everything into this one garden.
Everything. Their resources, their social capital, arguably their entire future.
Okay, so let's unpack this. Let's start with the spectacle itself, because the extravagance is, well, it's unbelievable. It's not just beautiful.
No, it's fundamentally artificial. It's a forced paradise created in the middle of winter, all to impress one person.
The highest authority.
Exactly.
Yeah.
The scene is set with these almost fantastical descriptions. The consort arrives by boat, and it's sailing along a clear stream, majestic as a swimming dragon.
And the lighting alone tells you everything about their budget.
Oh, yeah. The stone railings are decked out with these crystal glass lanterns of all different colors.
And it creates this illusion, right? The sources say it looked like silver flowers and snow waves.
And here's where the opulence just turns into something almost obsessive.
Because it's winter.
It's winter. They can't risk anything looking dead or withered. So what do? They basically manufacture nature.
So all the trees and shrubs that didn't have leaves or flowers, they just covered them.
Covered them with painstakingly crafted replicas. We're talking about things made of pith paper, silk floss, cloth, and paper. These are not cheap props. This is high-end artisan work on every single branch.
And that artificiality, it goes right down into the water, too.
It does. The lotuses, the water grasses, even the ducks and egrets, they aren't real.
What are they made of?
Well, the sources say they were constructed from glittering, expensive materials like shells, mother of pearl, and feathers.
Wow. So it's not just a garden. It's a controlled, perfect, and incredibly expensive environment.
That's it. The whole atmosphere is described as a glass world, jewel universe.
And yet, and this is where it gets really interesting for me, despite seeing all of this staggering beauty, this financial commitment that must have nearly bankrupted the family, the very first thing GFA does, while she's still in her sedan chair, is sigh.
A silent sigh.
Ugh.
And she notes the extravagance and wastefulness.
That's the key, isn't it?
It's critical because it immediately reveals the political trap they've fallen into. They build all this to show their status and their loyalty, but in doing so...
They gave her immediate proof of their own excess.
Exactly. She knows displaying this much wealth is a political risk. It sets this immediate critical tone against her own family's show of power.
But the critique, it doesn't stop with just the material stuff, with the money. It moves straight into the realm of art and literature.
Right, there's this jarring contrast that the sources mention. It's about the temporary place names they've put up.
Specifically places like Liaoding Waksu, Knotweed Bank, and Flowery Bank.
The narrator in the source material is just full of skepticism. The question is asked, why would the Jia family, this famous clan known for scholarship and hosting literary guests,
why would they use names that sound like, and I'm quoting here, small child's playful words?
It's a huge deal, a potential scandal, really.
It makes them look like a newly rich house, right? Not an established intellectual family.
It completely undermines the centuries of literary reputation they are trying so hard to project.
Which raises the big question. Why did Jia Zheng risk it? It feels like such an unforced error.
It makes absolutely no sense from a political standpoint. If the stakes are this high, you hire the best poet in the capital, period.
But that's where the private emotional history just completely overrides the public display.
This is the aha moment, the only thing that makes it logical.
You have to remember, Jiafei wasn't just some distant noble lady. She was raised by grandmother Jia, right alongside her younger brother, Biyu.
The sources are so explicit about this. Their relationship was incredibly intimate, like mother and son. She wasn't just his sister, she was his first teacher.
She personally taught him thousands of characters when he was just 3 or 4 years old.
So Jia Zhang, their father, he understood something crucial. Pure artistry wasn't the goal here.
Emotional connection was.
Yes. He used Baiyu's hastily written temporary names, not because they were the best poems, but because he knew seeing her beloved brother's work would please her. It would remind her of their shared past, before the imperial court just swallowed her whole.
It's a brilliant gamble, actually.
A very high-stakes one. He's trading the political risk of looking like an amateur for the emotional reward of nostalgia. He's basically saying, look, you might be an imperial consort now, but you are still our sister, and this garden was built by the boy you raised.
But even with that emotional foundation, the moment she arrives, she has to act like a consort. She has to show her authority.
And the power dynamic shifts instantly. She does it through these immediate symbolic changes.
Let's talk about the first one. She looks at Liuting Huaxu, and she laughs.
She says, Huaxu Flowery Bank, that's fine. But she asks, why the need for Liuting? Why not Weed Bank?
And Jia Zhang doesn't argue, he just has it changed. Immediately.
And then comes the second, much more symbolic change. It defines the whole purpose of the garden.
The main stone archway. It originally had this grand celestial name, Heavenly Immortal Realm.
And she immediately swaps it for something so functional, so humble, villa for visiting relatives.
She just strips away all the heavenly pretension.
And reduces this magnificent structure to its temporary function, a place for a brief, mandated family visit. That's it.
And after that functional, almost cold renaming, then comes the emotional toll.
The devastating toll. After all the formality, the sources describe this raw, intense emotion. Jiafei just starts crying when she sees her grandmother and mother.
The reunion is agony, it's not joy.
And her lament is it's unforgettable. She asks them, why did you send me to that place where one cannot see people?
Such a simple phrase to describe the imperial palace as a gilded prison.
And then she asks, if they can't laugh now, when will they ever get another chance? It just completely undermines the whole celebration.
And the power structure is so clear. When her own father, Jia Zhang, has to address her.
He has to speak from behind a screen to maintain that separation. And the language he uses, it's so profoundly humble.
He calls himself your subject, a common humble family.
And he attributes their entire fortune, this entire garden, to the emperor's unprecedented grand benevolence.
That feels so cynical. He's just spent a fortune, risked everything, and now he has to pretend he's a grateful pauper.
It's the necessary performance of humility. He's reminding her, and the court through her, that their wealth isn't their own. It's a gift that can be taken away at any moment.
And her response to that performance
is to stress that despite all this wealth, they lack the one thing that matters, the simple joy of kinship that even humble families have. That's the moment that confirms the cost of her position, is the permanent separation of her family.
Absolutely heartbreaking. So after the tears, the feast, all the required ceremonies, she finally takes on her formal role as patroness.
And she gives the garden its official lasting identity. She praises the extravagance one last time, but with a gentle warning.
A warning that echoes her first silent sigh. Do not be too extravagant.
And then she writes the overall name, Grand View Garden, Daguanyuan. But the real literary focus is on the 4 specific areas she loves most.
The spots that will become the permanent homes for the novel's main characters. This is where the whole geography of the tragic love triangle gets set up.
Exactly.
Okay, let's cement these names because this is where the rest of the story lives. The first one, a phoenix comes to visit.
That's officially renamed Xiaoshange, the Bamboo Lodge.
And that name is just critical for Daiyu who moves in there, the Zhaoxiang region. It's all about mournful poetry, mist, bamboo.
It's a perfect mirror of Daiyu's sensitive, fragile, and often sorrowful nature.
Then the second spot, red fragrance and green jade.
That gets tweaked a little, and then officially named Yi Hongyuan, the Green Delight Studio. And this, of course,
becomes Baiyu's central residence.
And the name is a perfect fit for him. A place of youthful pleasure, joy, surrounded by the red of femininity and the green of natural life. It's his little hedonistic haven.
Third spot, fragrance of angelica and basil.
becomes Hongwu Yuan, the aromatic balm court. And this is where Baochai lives.
And Hongwu Yuan is described as having no colorful flowers, only these pale, strange medicinal grasses.
It's quiet, reserved, almost sterile. It's a perfect reflection of Baochai's pragmatic, temperate, and disciplined personality, a complete contrast to Daiyu's passion.
And finally, the fourth spot, apricot curtain in sight.
Becomes Huanggeshan Suang, the washing silk mountain villa.
And after cementing the landscape of her family's future, Jiefei reveals she likes these four spots best.
She tells the sisters she's not gifted in poetry and tasks them all to compose poems. But she says the ultimate academic challenge directly for Baoyu.
The pressure cooker moment. She specifically directs him to compose a 5-character regulated verse for each of the 4 spots.
A Wianlu.
Help us understand what that means. Why is this such a high-stakes test?
Well, it is the highest form of poetic discipline. It's not just about rhyming. It demands 8 lines, with the middle 4 forming 2 perfectly parallel couplets.
Meaning what, exactly?
Meaning the nouns, verbs, and grammatical structures in line 3 have to mirror line 4, and line 5 must mirror line 6. On top of that, the tonal patterns, the musicality of the words, have to follow these incredibly strict, prescribed rules.
So it's a complete mastery of form, not just feeling.
A total academic test, and the pressure is so intense because of the personal weight she attaches to it.
She tells him, I don't feel my pains in educating you since you were little.
It's not just a poetry contest, it's an examination of his entire childhood and her entire sacrifice. The family risked everything on this garden, but Jiefei is now risking everything on Baoyu's intellectual performance.
If he fails this, he doesn't just undermine his own reputation.
He undermines her hard-won dignity as his first mentor.
Okay, let's dive into that contest. So the task sounds simple, but it's actually incredibly hard.
Oh, for sure.
You have to write 1 plaque title and a matching poem for the garden scenes they just walk through.
Exactly. And we know the sisters, Yingshun, Tanshun, and Shichun, and Liwan, they all took part. Their work was, technically very good.
Very polished.
Very polished. The sources say Tanshun, for example, was clearly better than her sisters. We know she's sharp. But even she knew she'd have difficulty comparing with Xu Baochai and Lin Dayu.
So her writing and her sister's writing, it was good, but not great.
It was just a bit generic. Aesthetically pleasing, yes, but generic.
I mean, were they actually bad? Or just sort of standard for the time? Tanshin offered 10,000 phenomena contending in radiance. That sounds pretty impressive to me.
It is impressive. It's excellent classical writing, totally appropriate. And Yingchun's broadening the mind and delighting the spirit, or Xijin's the creation of literary artistry, they're all superb. But the Empress, Jiefei, she wasn't looking for good.
She was looking for something else.
She was looking for unique and politically useful.
So when Jiefei reads all the poems, the judgment must have been just devastating for some of them.
It was swift and final. She immediately says the works of Hu, Lin, or Mei, the 2 sisters, Yu and Lin, were different from the crowd, basically incomparable to what her own sisters wrote.
Ouch.
Yeah. That single Imperial comment just sets the tone for the entire night.
But getting that seal of approval, it also comes with its own problems, right? Especially for Lin Dayu.
Oh, absolutely.
The source material is so specific here. It says she came planning to fully display her exceptional talent and overwhelm everyone. She wanted to crush the competition.
That phrase, it tells you everything about her. For Dayu, this isn't some polite family gathering. It's her chance to prove, beyond any doubt, that she is a genius.
So the fact that she was only allowed to write 1 poem and 1 plaque,
it left her feeling completely boxed in, unhappy. You see her fundamental flaw right there.
Yeah.
She's a genius who just can't stand protocol, even when she's winning.
Let's look at the 2 that did win. Baochai's plaque, concentrated radiance, gathered auspiciousness, that feels, very appropriate. Very safe.
It's more than safe. It's politically perfect. Her poem is all about imperial favor, about loyalty. It uses phrases like glorious sun, auspicious clouds, and really hammers home the importance of filial piety.
So she's playing the game.
She's showing she understands the system. She knows how to use art to support the state.
And then you have Daiyu's piece, ethereal immortal source.
A complete contrast.
Yeah.
Dayu uses her talent to turn the garden into something, transcendent. An immortal land separate from the mortal world.
Which is beautiful.
It's heartbreakingly beautiful. Artistically, it's superior. But it's also completely disconnected from the political reality that built the garden. Baochai scores points for survival. Dai Yu scores points for pure, otherworldly genius.
Okay, so the stage is set with these two literary powerhouses. But the family's reputation, it really all rests on Jia Baoyu.
The male heir.
He's supposed to be the family's genius. And, well, Baoyu was having a tough time.
He was struggling. He'd finished 2 poems, but he was completely stuck on the third, just frozen.
And this is where the dynamic shifts.
Yeah.
It stops being about open competition and starts being about secret strategy.
Yes, the family needs him to succeed, which means the women around him have to step up and protect the family's honor, even if it has to be done in secret.
Which leads us to that famous moment with Bao Chai. It just perfectly defines her social intelligence.
He really does.
Bao Yu is trying to write the poem for the joyous red court, and his line has the phrase, "Green jade, the spring still rolls." Bao Chai sees it and realizes this isn't a literary mistake.
It's a political landmine, a catastrophe waiting to happen.
How so?
She quietly tells him that the Empress herself hated the original name for that scene, Red Fragrance, Green Jade, and had personally ordered it changed to Joyous Red, Quick Green.
So using the old phrase wasn't just bad taste.
No, absolutely not. This is so critical. Using that discarded term would be seen as intentionally challenging the Empress's own decision. In this context, that's not bad poetry. It's a quiet act of rebellion.
Wow. So Bao Chai wasn't just correcting his grammar.
She was preventing a political disaster that could have wrecked the entire Jia clan.
So she tells him to swap one character, Jade, for Wax. But Bao Yu, being the scholar he is, he needs a source. He needs a literary precedent.
He does. He can't just take her word for it. And Bao Chai, without missing a beat, delivers. She quotes a Tang Dynasty poem about a banana leaf. Cold candle without smoke, green wax dry.
Incredible.
It's her genius. She turns this dangerous political correction into a flawless literary one. She gives him the answer without bruising his ego or showing him the terrifying stakes.
Bao Yu is stunned, obviously. He calls her his one-word teacher.
But Bao Chai, with that perfect sense of propriety, she just laughs it off. She says, "Who is your sister? The one in yellow robes upstairs is your sister."
A sharp reminder of who he's really supposed to be impressing.
Exactly. It's the perfect summary of who she is. She's the strategist, the protector. She ensures survival.
But the secret help doesn't end there. Dai Yu, who was so frustrated earlier, sees Bao Yu is still struggling with the very last poem.
For the apricot curtain in sight scene.
And she decides to step in too.
It's this incredible moment. It's either literary generosity or maybe it's just that her genius can't be contained and has to find a way out.
So what does she do?
She writes the whole poem for him instantly, scribbles it on a piece of paper, balls it up, and just throws it to him.
True ghostwriting.
Completely unacknowledged, hidden, done purely for the art and for him.
And here's the massive irony that just cuts through the whole evening. When GFA reads Bao Yu's finished poems, including Dai Yu's secret one, she's thrilled.
She says he's indeed progressed.
But then she singles out the Apricot Curtain in Sight poem, the one Dai Yu wrote, as the absolute best of the 4.
She calls it the crown of the first 3. The highest praise, the moment that saves the family's honor. It goes to the secret, unacknowledged work of a female cousin.
And that poem, with its lines about rice flowers and a flourishing age with no hunger, is what inspires GFA to rename the whole scene to the very auspicious Doxiang village.
So the official future of the Jia family is literally built on the secret genius of the women they keep in the background.
Okay, so the poetry is done. The intellectual performance is over. Now the focus shifts to entertainment.
Right.
And if the poetry was all about following the rules and political correctness, the entertainment, well, it shows us something very different.
A fascinating reversal, yeah.
It shows that sometimes outright defiance, if you have the talent to back it up, can win you even more favor.
It's a complete flip of the script. So Jia King has his troupe of 12 actresses ready. 4 operas are on the schedule, standard stuff like Grand Feast and Separation of Soul.
But the Empress, who's maybe a little more relaxed now, her eye is caught by one performer in particular.
The actress Ling Guan. She singles her out, calls her extremely good.
Then the Empress asks for 2 more plays. Jia Kang, following protocol, tells Ling Guan to perform some safe, popular choices, Roaming the Garden and Startling Dream.
And Ling Guan just says no, flat out refuses.
In front of everyone.
Right there. It's the staggering moment of defiance. She insists on performing 2 other plays, The Appointment and The Quarreling, which the source notes weren't even her specialty roles.
Hold on. If Dai Yu felt she couldn't show her full talent because of Imperial protocol, how does this actress get away with directly defying the Empress?
That is the crucial question. And the difference is their position. Daiyu's genius is trapped inside the Jia family system, a system built on deference. But Lingwen is a performer. She operates in a world where pure, transcendent talent has its own kind of power.
So the Empress isn't angry.
She's the opposite. The source says she is highly pleased.
So instead of being punished, she's rewarded.
Extraordinarily so. The Empress gives an order, do not make things difficult for this girl, and then showers her with gifts, palace silk, purses, gold, and silver ingots, right there on the spot.
It's a strange lesson.
It is. It suggests that at court, sometimes breaking the rules is more memorable than following them perfectly, but only if your talent is absolutely undeniable.
Before the night ends, there's one last, very symbolic act from GFA.
A deeply pious one. She goes to a small, secluded temple in the garden, washes her hands, burns incense, and gives it a name.
Sea of Bitterness. Compassionate vessel.
It's a devastatingly honest moment. She is the Imperial Consort, the reason for all this luxury.
Yeah.
But that title also means she's trapped in the palace, the Sea of Bitterness. By naming the temple that, she's acknowledging her duty to help her family, but also her own powerlessness to escape the system herself.
The final part of the evening, before the goodbye, is the giving of gifts. This isn't just about generosity. The list of who gets what is like an organizational chart of the family.
Exactly. You want to know who really matters? Look at the gifts. And at the very top, deservedly, is Jia Mu, the grandmother.
She gets 4 items that no one else does.
No.
These aren't just expensive, they're pure symbolic power.
Absolutely. The gold and jade receptors, a sandalwood staff, fragrant Nanmu prayer beads. These are personal symbols of imperial respect for the matriarch. They set her above everyone.
And on top of that, she gets the most silk, the most gold and silver ingots.
Right. And then her daughters-in-law, Lady Xing and Lady Wang, they get very generous gifts too. Silk, ingots, almost the same list, but specifically without those 4 unique high-status items.
They're wealthy, but they're not the matriarch.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And the men, Jia Zhang, Jia Shi, they get scholarly gifts, imperial books, fine ink, wine goblets. Their favor is tied to their function as officials.
Even the younger generation gets their share, all geared towards their education. Bao Chai, Dayu, and Bao Yu each get a new book, an inkstone, and some ingots.
And this generosity goes all the way down the ladder. The sources even list the 500 strings of copper coins for the kitchen staff and the performers. Imperial favor, in theory, touches everyone.
But this whole massive, expensive, stressful performance ends at, 1:45 in the morning?
Yes, Paul. And at that moment, the emotional dam just breaks.
The joy is gone.
Instantly, GFA just starts crying, holding on to Jia Mu and Lady Wang's hands. She tries to comfort them, says maybe she can visit once a month. But then she says the one thing that casts a shadow over the entire night, the thing that foreshadows their ruin.
The warning.
It's just devastating. She warns them strictly not to repeat this luxurious extravagance next year. She, the person this was all for, is the one telling them it's too much.
She's not criticizing their taste, though. She's showing them how little power she actually has.
Exactly.
Yeah.
She knows this display is a necessary performance of loyalty, but she also knows it's dangerously, cripplingly expensive.
And then she's forced to leave because of royal protocol, while she and her mother and grandmother are all weeping uncontrollably.
The source says crying so hard they couldn't speak. It just captures the crushing reality of their world. The greatest honor brings the deepest pain. This visit wasn't a happy reunion. It was a terrible reminder that their future depends on a constant, exhausting, and politically risky display of wealth they can't afford.